Hello. Today I will be discussing free will, of my own free will. Or is it? Just kidding. My topic today will be Benjamin Libet's free will experiment. Libet's view of free will is a complicated one. He believes there is a possibility that humans lack free will. Before we get into the depth of that argument, let's discuss Libet's experiment itself. In this trial, he had subjects attached to an EEG, a machine for sensing brain activity through electronic signals. He then requested that subjects press a button placed in front of them whenever they felt so inclined. He also requested that subjects record when they make the decision to do so. Easy enough, right? Almost too easy. How does pressing a button whenever you feel like it make a monumental change in neuroscience that is heavily debated on to this day? Libet will tell you. He explains that before each subject recorded making the conscious decision to press the button, the EEG machine recorded brain activity. Libet called this activity readiness potential. Now, your brain knowing what you're going to do before you consciously are aware of it seems to many like evidence that free will is completely obsolete. Libet himself did not make this claim. He explained that though this study may show a lack of conscious free will through the existence and measure of readiness potential, this does not leave us completely powerless. He believed in a concept called free won't. This means that even if we allegedly do not control our decisions, we do have the ability to stop them. Libet's experiment shows a period of time between the subject's decision to push the button and the actual action of doing so, where the EEG activity dips. This 150 millisecond window is called the window of opportunity. This is where free won't can occur. Participants could reverse their decisions during this period, displaying the concept of free won't. This means in smaller decisions like this, free won't can be applied. Free won't provides us with enough decision ability that we are still at fault for our actions, but still accounts for the shown lack of free and conscious will we see in the time between our brain's awareness of decisions and our conscious awareness of them. This portion of Libet's argument seems the most rational to me because it shows our brain's ability to make decisions before we become conscious of them without completely limiting mental and bodily ability to make these decisions. While I understand the concept of Libet's free will, how they are supported by his experiment, it may seem that the more complicated decisions we make cannot be accounted for by such a simple idea. This brings up the point of what type of will is being done. Proximal will includes smaller acts, like pressing a button, acts that one focuses on in the moment. This type of willing is measured in Libet's experiment, but it is not the only kind. There is also distal willing. This type focuses on broader acts, such as choosing where one wants to go to college. It is focused on a broader goal. Distal willing includes a period of delayed gratification, whereas proximal willing includes immediate gratification. I mean, we all know how fun pressing a button is. But is determining your future as easy as pressing a button? I'm sure we wish it was, but it's not. It seems as though Libet's experiment fails to account for distal willing. This is not the only issue studies have found in his work. Neuroscience students in the article NCSU Analysis, Neurostudies Claiming Free Will is an Illusion or Flawed, discuss the validity of Libet's experiment itself. These students in this article conducted the first ever qualitative review of these widely used studies, including Libet's. Students in this review are asking why it is common practice to teach that Libet studies and studies like it are proven conclusive that free will does not exist, without presenting real, sufficient evidence on either side of the argument. They argue this limits neuroscience as a whole by promoting a lack of thinking critically about subjects like this, that eminently require deep thought to understand and let alone begin to solve. These students are using their review to promote examination into these long-standing experiences and the biases that come with them. The article argues that a large influence on Libet's study and its following replications comes from the performer's own thought about the existence of free will. Therefore, if a researcher believes that free will does not exist, they can set up their trial in a format to prove this. This is known as confirmation bias, and it limits the ability of these researchers to actually prove any of these claims. The article emphasizes that while students don't take a specific position, their only goal is to promote the idea that the evidence is not conclusive on either side, and neuroscience education needs to be more inclusive of this idea. This subject is incredibly complicated. I don't personally have a clearly developed view, but I do understand both Libet's conclusions and his shortcomings. I think the work in this article is incredibly important, and the promotion of unknowing, while difficult for academics everywhere, will lead people as a community to do more research and reach a greater understanding of this topic, freely, or not.